Hi. So I'm just going to tell you a bit about me. I've struggled with my own feelings about weight for many, many years. When I passed my driving test, I started to put on weight very, very gradually. I was very active until that time. And I remember my gran once asking me at Christmas time how much I carried, and I didn't actually know what she meant. And she meant basically, how much do you weigh? My gran weighed about 7 stone, and all my family have always eaten like sparrows, and I did eat like a horse at the time. And I'd never thought of myself as fat before that time, but when the Christmas photographs got developed, I saw myself and was absolutely horrified, and just that feeling of shame and disgust was just overwhelming. And that kind of was where my issues started. And I was also so angry with my gran that there was a part of me that thought, well, I don't care, I'm going to eat anyway. So it was kind of started to be a vicious circle and just kind of got worse over the years. Various things happened, relationship breakdowns, the usual really, but all kind of added to that issue. Although I lost weight, I still had the emotions attached to food. So I did get my weight down at times, but I would always feel like I had to lose that elusive half a stone more. And I always felt like I'd feel great for a few weeks, and then I'd feel a bit rubbish again and think, oh, I should lose a bit more weight. And then it would gradually pile on again. And it was just a horrible vicious circle. And it was constantly in my head, 24/7, thinking about what I'm going to eat, what I can't eat. I'm on a diet today. Oh, stuff it. I'm just going to eat what I want today. I'm sure you're very familiar with those feelings. I only really got my head around it all after the birth of my second son. Just before his birth was when I discovered EFT for birth trauma. And then I used EFT to get my head around the whole weight and food issue. I still think about my weight and my fitness a lot, but it's more about thinking it from a health and fitness perspective rather than a weight and fat perspective. I'm not obsessed with it anymore. I don't think about it 24/7. It helps me to strive to be healthy and to exercise, but it's not something that I'm totally obsessed with. And it also, if I do fall off the wagon, which I still do quite often, if I have a bad meal or a bad day or I'm really stressed, rather than beat myself up for the next day or the next week about it and really hate myself and have those feelings of self-loathing that I used to get, I can now think, it's okay, it's fine, you've just ate a chocolate bar, you don't have to discount the rest of the day, you can just get back on the wagon and it will all be fine. And it's such a release to feel like that. I'm hoping that you're probably not as bad as I'm hoping that you're not as bad as I was, but if you're anywhere near that, then I can really sympathise. So how is EFT going to help you over the next 21 days? There is so much conflicting and confusing advice out there about what you should and you shouldn't eat, and you should do this and you shouldn't do that. Michelle is going to destroy all the myths and give you some really good advice on how to how to get healthy and how to stay on track and how to stay healthy. We all know that when we do lose a bit of weight, when we can fit into that pair of jeans that's been a bit too tight for a while, it feels great. So why do we always go back to the same patterns? Why do we always sabotage ourselves and end up putting on the weight again? Why are we doing that? Why is it a constant struggle? So we're going to be really looking at the emotional reasons behind that. When I found this out, everything made sense. It's a bit left field, so just bear with me. I discovered EFT when I was pregnant with my second child. I'd had a traumatic first birth, and I saw someone for EFT who treated me, and within 25 minutes I went from, I've got to have a cesarean, there's no way I'm doing that again ever, to, yeah, actually I think I could do this, which I did, and it was great. Having got over the trauma, I was able to research quite logically about what happened and what went wrong the first time. So the premise of a natural labour is basically not panicking because of the pain, which is exactly what I did the first time. I was so scared by the pain and so stressed that my body just basically went into shock, and my body was flooded with the stress hormone cortisol, which is the fight or flight response. I'm reading this so that I don't get it wrong. Obviously, when you're in labour, you can't run away or fight it. So I couldn't do anything. It became a vicious circle. The more stressed I got, the more pain I was in. When your mind is flooded with that cortisol, it also shuts down the problem-solving side of your brain. And because of that, the natural pain relief doesn't kick in. So you miss out, and you're just on a downward spiral, basically. And obviously, if you're in labour, that usually results in drugs and more drugs, and a heavily assisted delivery, or even a C-section for some women. And it's the same with diet. When it comes to diet, we're so obsessed with the sweet things, we're so obsessed with the chocolate, the carbs, stodgy stuff that isn't that good for us. Why do we have these cravings at certain times of the day? Typically, mid-afternoon is the usual time. And the reason why is because that's usually when you're stressed. When you're stressed, the adrenaline starts pumping, literally. Your body is flooded with the stress hormone cortisol, I mentioned before. And again, the problem-solving or the rational side of your brain shuts down. So that's when you're not able to talk yourself down from a craving. You just want that chocolate and you want it now. The reason we reach for those biscuits, chocolate, the carbs, the sugary carbs, that kind of thing, is because those foods contain tryptophan and serotonin, and that helps us to feel good. The problem is the sugar rush, which is the body's insulin levels rising. It doesn't last for long. So you have that high, but then very quickly you have a low again, which is why you feel stressed and low again, so you want the high again. So you're on that spiral of eating chocolate all afternoon. Added to this, stress can also cause our digestive system to slow down. So that also decreases our nutrient absorption intake. It can increase salt retention as well, which can make you bloated. I'm sure Michelle will explain all that far better than I can, but basically we're on a downward spiral. So is it any wonder that we can't succeed with diets when we're stressed and we don't address this side of things? Stress and sugar are the real culprits, and I'm going to be helping you with that. Even just stressing about losing weight itself can cause these feelings and cause these stress hormones. Stressing about, oh, I've got to go and do that exercise video, I've got to go for that run. It can cause these drugs to have an effect on you. And by using EFT, we're going to be creating a natural drug, a happy hormone if you like, that's going to manage those feelings, get them out there, and then hopefully get them gone. And we're basically tapping into our natural pharmacy, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. EFT is used to basically acknowledge the voices inside our heads. So we literally verbalise what we're feeling. As you're verbalising them, you're tapping, and then they will naturally reduce. And you can start when you're ready to, and only when you're ready to. Don't force it too soon. You'll start to naturally replace that language with more positive language, and then it will get better and better. If you think about it, we so often don't acknowledge those feelings. We bat them down, we say, oh, we fight against them. EFT turns that on its head. It's really about accepting yourself as you are, and that's okay, and then making a change and getting better.